I'm sorry, did you just categorize people of color alongside perverts and the disabled? Is that what I just heard? Hi, my name is Reese Waters. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the page. Now, I've already covered the bias of our national media. We want to attack Kamala Harris just for laughing. And then turn around and treat this man like he's senile. You know, that's just Trump being Trump. As if this isn't a red flag.
You take a look at bacon and some of these products, and some people don't eat bacon anymore. And we are going to get the energy prices down. When we get energy down, you know, this was caused by their horrible energy wind. They want wind all over the place. But when it doesn't blow, we have a little problem.
Because we certainly know it was for Biden.
I also thought it was interesting that she didn't take any responsibility at the end for telling the American people that Joe Biden was fine and he was strong. I mean, we all know that's not true. That's why he's out of the race, and she's still standing by the idea that he was fine and he's strong and that he's fine today. Nobody believes that. And I just think at some point, then why isn't he running?
Because he's too old, point blank. Same reason why Donald Trump probably shouldn't be running.
I also owe y'all a piece about our local news, and specifically Sinclair. Oh, Sinclair, you thought you was slick. You thought you was slick because I got distracted because our politics are just so insane and crazy that I didn't have the time to devote an entire video to you. Oh, I'ma get there.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 Actually, I wasn't even talking about that. That was even before I was doing troubled waters. So y'all go back a long time when it comes to this kind of media manipulation. I was talking about this. I didn't forget.
The Sinclair Broadcast Group, which is owned by a right-wing media mogul, seems to be working hard to push dubious claims about President Biden's mental fitness for office. And they're pushing it to millions of Americans. Aaron Rupar of Public Notice and Judd Legum of Popular Information highlighted how Sinclair has aggressively worked the claims about Biden's age into dozens of local broadcasts across the country.
Wall Street Journal has published a story which calls the mental fitness of President Biden into question.
As the Wall Street Journal is out with new reporting calling into question the mental fitness of President Joe Biden.
The issue could be an election decider.
The issue could be an election decider.
Election decider.
The issue could be an election decider.
Mental fitness.
Mental fitness.
And the mental fitness.
The mental
Fitness of President Joe
Biden.
Yes, we have manipulated cable news. We have manipulated print media. We got manipulated local news now. Well, certainly YouTube and independent journalism would be the answer, because obviously that would be free of that kind of influence.
But we begin tonight with Russia still listening and still interfering in our elections. That is what we learned when the Justice Department announced indictments and sanctions Wednesday in a scheme that sounds straight out of 2016. The DOJ charged 2 Russian media executives in an alleged plot to illegally funnel millions of dollars to right-wing influencers by way of a pro-Trump media outlet. Specifically, the department charged 2 employees of Russian-backed media company RT with a nearly $10 million plan to fund an unnamed Tennessee content creation company as one of their covert projects to influence American politics. The company's description matches that of Tennessee-based Tenet Media, according to a review by NBC News of details included in the indictment. In a related but separate legal action, prosecutors seized 32 Russian-controlled web domains tied to a broader Russian influence campaign accused of spreading propaganda through bogus news sites to American voters. An affidavit supporting seizing the domains showed information detailing a series of topics Russian actors wanted amplified in the influencer's content. Things like encroaching universal poverty, record inflation, the halting of economic growth, unaffordable prices for food and essential goods, risk of job loss for white Americans, privileges for people of color, perverts, and the disabled.
I'm sorry, did you just categorize people of color alongside perverts and the disabled? Is that what I just heard? People of color, perverts, and the disabled. Is that what I just heard? Also of note here, item number 2 was risk of job loss for white Americans. Ooh, we not talking about the black jobs no more, huh? No, this is not, we're not concerned about black jobs no more. Risk of job loss for white Americans.
Constant lies of the U.S. political party administration about the real situation in the country. Threat of crime coming from people of color and immigrants, including new immigrants from Ukraine.
Okay, I gotta stop us right there again. Okay, so the whole idea of the migrant crime epidemic really speaks to the immigration issue and the need to have secure borders. How does people of color, if you include crime from people of color alongside immigrant crime, now you're just racist. So is that what? Oh, that is it. Okay. Oh, it's just racism. Okay. All right.
On foreign policy and at the expense of the interests of white U.S. citizens.
Okay, I'm gonna have to stop us again right now. So black people, I know, contrary to popular opinion, pay taxes. So if there's overspending on foreign policy, that would also affect black citizens as well as Latino citizens as well as Asians. No, we don't. They don't. Oh, it's just racism. It's just open racism. Okay, all right.
Constant lies to the voters by U.S. political party B in power, and last but not least, America is suffering a defeat despite candidate B's efforts. We are being drawn into the war. Our guys will die in Ukraine. Now, if that also sounds like a list of pro-Trump right-wing talking points, or frankly, your average day on Fox, it essentially is. But it also highlights how Russia launders its propaganda into the American psyche, especially through the use of social media, which is why Tenet Media came in handy. The indictment notes Company One, which describes itself as a network of heterodox commentators that focus on Western political and cultural issues, the exact same language used by Tenet Media on its website and social media channels.
Oh, that's awkward. Y'all use the same. You just copied and paste from the. Wow, that is. Come on, man. ChatGPT could have paraphrased that for you.
Frankly, your average day on Fox, it essentially is. But it also highlights how Russia launders its propaganda into the American psyche, especially through the use of social media, which is why Tenet Media came in handy. The indictment notes Company One, which describes itself as a network of heterodox commentators that focus on Western political and cultural issues, the exact same language used by Tenet Media on its website and social media channels, and identifies 6 commentators as its talent. The indictment doesn't name them, but Tenet Media has 6 right-wing YouTube commentators on its roster. Tim Pool, Benny Johnson, Dave Rubin, Taylor Hanson, Lauren Southern, and Matt Christensen. And you will be forgiven if right now you're asking yourself, who? Just know that some of them are prominent MAGA celebrities. They adamantly deny involvement in posts on Elon Musk's ex-Twitter. Tim Pool said that he and others were deceived and were victims. Dave Rubin claimed he knew absolutely nothing about any of this fraudulent activity.
Oh, we'll get into that a little bit later. Y'all are victims. Victims, yeah, victims of those Benjamin Franklins. That's what you is.
The indictment does suggest the unnamed commentators were unaware that they were being paid by Russian efforts. But But a look into the internet presence of some of these containers, some of these creators' content, shows what Russia was looking for.
What else is going on with Ukraine these days? It's not just that we are funding the war. Everyone knows that we're funding a war, which you might argue if you're funding the war, if you're paying for the war, maybe that means you're in the war, but we've never actually gotten authorization for this war. Our leaders keep telling us that this is the most important thing in town.
This is psychotic. Ukraine is the enemy of this country. Ukraine is our enemy, being funded by the Democrats. I will stress this again. One of the greatest enemies of our nation right now is Ukraine. Ukraine is the greatest threat to this nation and to the world. We should rescind all funding and financing, pull out all military support, and we should apologize to Russia.
We actually didn't even do that video justice. Let's go ahead and run that clip in its entirety.
But I don't know that it matters anymore. This is psychotic. Ukraine is the enemy of this country. Ukraine is our enemy, being funded by the Democrats. I will stress this again. One of the greatest enemies of our nation right now is Ukraine. They are expanding this war. Now, don't get me wrong. I know you've got criminal elements of the U.S. government pushing them and guiding them and telling them what to do. Ukraine is now accused, a German warrant issued for blowing up the Nord Stream pipeline, triggering this conflict. Ukraine is the greatest threat to this nation and to the world. We should rescind all funding and financing, pull out all military support, and we should apologize to Russia.
The man went as far as to apologize to Russia. Ooh, that's not going to look good. That is not going to look good with these. Sometimes you just got to know when to fall back and know when they got you. Just make sure you save that money, put it in a good mutual fund or something.
Apologize to Russia. Of course, it's not like Russia had to pay everyone, since we all know there are elected officials willing to push the Kremlin line for free.
Vladimir Putin has not said he wants to go march across Europe and take Europe. And the reality is Ukraine is not even a NATO member nation. But if you want to know something, Lloyd Austin and the others here, more than anything, want to send your uncles, your cousins, and your sons and daughters to the front lines in Ukraine.
I will not vote for $1 more to Ukraine. I will not vote for one more piece of materiel to Ukraine. We are far too entangled in this conflict. I believe we have extended this conflict.
What's in America's best interest is to accept Ukraine is going to have to cede some territory to the Russians, and we need to bring this war to a close.
I don't know, Joy Reid. You might be giving them too much credit. I think maybe we haven't connected all of the dots yet, although I wouldn't put it past Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz to be out here doing that work for free.
I know you might have been surprised not to see former Fox host Tucker Carlson in there, but he does make an appearance in the Justice Department's indictment, just not by name. The indictment reveals that one of the indicted RT employees shared a video of a well-known U.S. political commentator visiting a grocery store in Russia, a likely reference to Tucker's infamous Moscow shopping trip in which he marveled how much better it was shopping in the dictatorship than shopping at home, ahead of the interview in which he did everything but literally sit in Vladimir Putin's lap and hug him like he's Santa Claus. Later that day, a producer messaged the company founder saying, "They want me to post this," adding, "It just feels like overt shilling." The two founders of the media company are also unnamed in the indictment, but Tenet Media is registered to two people named Liam Donovan and Lauren Chen. Chen was fired from her job as a commentator for right-wing Blaze Media. She had contributed to videos to its Blaze TV. It seems the reality of it all is you hear these narratives. Ukraine is our true enemy, or the economy is doing so terribly, it's in ruin, in spite of ample evidence to the contrary. How the white man is falling behind because the government is giving preferential treatment to blacks and brown people. Remember the twin boogeymen of DEI and critical race theory? You hear these things and you think, yeah, these are just right-wingers being the miserable wretches that they always are. When it turns out, they might also be getting cash apps from Mother Russia to say it. But it's not like some genius idea, right? The Russians are just banking on the things that right-wingers are already hopped up about in order to scare white American voters into voting for the candidate Vladimir Putin wants to win.
Now, it's at this point I have to feel particular shame for right-wingers. Not that they are capable, but those of you that were echoing these talking points, this anti-DEI and anti-CRT and the whole crime wave and things like that. And yes, I'm talking about you, Fox News. The fact that even the Russians realize that this is a useful tool to sow discord and nothing more really eliminates all validity from the words that are coming out of your mouth. Even the Russians, by virtue of the money that they are paying in order for you to spew this nonsense, are also ceding it's all garbage. Because if it wasn't, they wouldn't have to pay you to say it. Now would they?
And no surprise, his preferred candidate is this guy.
Russia, you had a relationship with them, and North Korea and the Mullahs.
But nobody was tougher with Russia than me.
Joining me now is David Korn, Washington bureau chief for Mother Jones and MSNBC political contributor, and Anand Giridharadas, publisher of the newsletter The Ink and MSNBC political analyst. Thank you both for being here. David, I will start with you. It is sort of remarkable to see the complete capture of the U.S. Republican Party by pro-Russian interests. So this group that is now indicted, it's not like they had to work hard. The right has already been pre-captured to the Russian side. But what do you make of this indictment and what it is revealed?
Well, we got to look at this a little bit in historical context. This isn't coming out of nowhere. This is now the third election in a row that the Russians have tried to intervene to help Donald Trump.
Now, Joy Reid had one of the publishers of The Ink on as a guest, and I just want you to listen to how he framed this indictment.
Yeah, and Anand, that's where I want to come to you because, you've tailed with some of these folks who were annoyed that you were criticizing the billionaire class. But I mean, to me, getting at these people who a lot of people who are watching this show probably don't even know who Tim Pool and these people are, but that is because they are trying to capture a much younger demographic. They're sort of taking that Russian capture and then marketing it down to younger and younger receivers of information.
Yeah, we have a post up at The Ink tonight trying to look at this indictment in a larger light. And I'd say a couple things. First of all, there are a lot of things countries can do to each other, particularly when they're powerful countries like Russia. There's a big menu, right? Binders full of choices available to Vladimir Putin, right? You can take out power grids. You can do stuff on banking systems. You can bomb things. You can do assassinations, the whole slew of things. I think first we have to think about the fact that in these three elections, as David's talked about, basically the era we've lived in the last decade plus, the Russian weapon of choice to sabotage the United States of America and push it into democratic decay is the inflammation of our discourse. Right? I think that's really significant. Like, I don't think these operations necessarily have tilted elections or have that enormous an effect. We have our own problems in this country that we don't need Russian help to create. But it is their judgment of our Achilles heel that is so revealing here. And when you look at some of these people, these very inflammatory people who they've been funding, it makes you realize, like regular people at home, you are being manipulated to hate your neighbor more than you otherwise would. You are being manipulated to feel like everything is hopeless. You are being manipulated into these positions. And in 2016, by the way, they did this to the left and the right. It was all over the place. And I think it actually fills me with a certain kind of hope that maybe this country is not as gone in terms of toxicity and the way we see each other and relate to each other as we perceive ourselves to be when we go online, when we go on YouTube, when we go on X. Maybe a certain amount of what has happened to us is this, forced inflammation from the outside, because it is their judgment that way we relate to each other, that way we see each other, the way we talk to each other will ultimately bring us down.
Now, two incredible points that he just raised. I'll take the first one. The fact that in Russia's determination, we have been shown to be so susceptible to misinformation and disinformation and to hate and fear mongering that would be their weapon of choice. And don't think that lesson isn't lost on the Trump administration and the Trump campaigns since 2016 either. It just takes people that are devious, people that are divorced from any true feelings about this country and its well-being. It takes people that are just so independent of true American nationalism, like actual patriotism. It takes people so divorced from that as to go along with this particular scheme. Oh, wait, my bad. You're victims though, right?
In the wake of this incredibly embarrassing indictment that shows several online right-wing figure like that right-wing commentator you just heard, Tim Pool, that they were allegedly unwitting secret paid agents of the Russian government attempting to sabotage our election and sow discord among the American populace. Many of those right-wing personalities have become very defensive. A couple of them called it a leaked indictment, which is funny, even though it's just a public court document. Poole did at least revise his response when that was pointed out to him. The point that many of them have been making, or the defenders have been making, to the extent they are presenting any defense at all, is to say, look, I didn't know where the money was from. I was paid to say what I would have said anyway. And honestly, I believe they're telling the truth on that. All the anti-immigrant rhetoric and the vile culture war bigotry is the kind of stuff they were saying before the Russians showed up to pay them for it. It's always the way this stuff works. The most effective tactic to manipulate public opinion through foreign influence or to change laws on behalf of the wealthy interests is not to find someone who is opposed to what you want to do and then give them cash and have them renounce publicly and tell them what to say. No, instead it's to go out and find people that are already aligned with those interests and then just subsidize the hell out of those folks by throwing money at them, by raising their profile so they can just keep doing what they were already doing. And ideally, they do it for a long time, and they're comfortable doing it. Comfortable, in this case, to the tune of $100,000 per video, which I gotta say is pretty cushy in the world of digital media.
Now, I particularly would like to point to the line, I didn't know where the money was from. I didn't know what the money was for. Oh, because we're all just so used and accustomed to accepting huge sums of money without knowing exactly where it's from or what it was for. Oh no, I am such a victim because they forcibly placed hundreds of thousands of dollars into my account. My poor money that was already there was scared for its life. It didn't know where to go. It didn't know where to hide. And it just kept accumulating. And it was more and more money. And my poor already there savings ended up being dwarfed by comparison. So your best case scenario is you had no idea that you were mirroring Russian propaganda and that you were unwittingly sowing discord in our society to make us weaker from the inside. That's your best case scenario, is you were just accepting large sums of money, didn't know what it was for, but your real opinions just happened to align with Russian propaganda and their very specific talking points in order to decay American society. Well, if that's the case, then you would definitely fall back from the internet at this point, right? If that was the case, that these were your real feelings and you see just how destructive and aligned with our enemy they are, you would certainly do some soul searching and decide that this probably isn't for you if this is where you land with things, right? Oh, no, you're not doing that. You're just going to stay here and continue to do it. Well, now I just got no other thing to conclude than that you're guilty. Like you left me no place to go. But I love the second point that was raised by the publisher, and that's where I would like to land. As wild as it is, knowing that there are these people out there that we're pushing this kind of propaganda, we're inflaming people's emotions and inflaming people's feelings, also means that this might not have necessarily been organic to America in 2024. I can't at the same time see that this kind of manipulation is happening without also knowing that the people that I've been so appalled by have also been manipulated. And if that volume can be turned up, that means hopefully it can also be turned down. However, in order to turn it down means we have to somehow disconnect those minds from our manipulated media. And as I just laid out in the open, that manipulated media is absolutely everywhere. And that is why I'm troubled.
Quote here, Livingston said Robinson usually came in with a pizza, purchased a preview of an adult film, and went into a private booth to watch it and eat.
I'm sorry, did he said pizza, right? Pizza? You came in with like a whole pizza? Welcome to Street Politics. My name is Reese Waters. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the page. Now here I am minding my own business.
And I'm here to do my black job.
And y'all keep hitting me up. I want to let y'all know this video is y'all's fault. This is y'all's fault. Y'all be in my premieres. I sit here and want to have an innocent afternoon and y'all keep messaging me, Mark Robinson. Y'all keep emailing me, did you see the Mark Robinson story? Now, I have covered Mark Robinson before, so that's probably why y'all thought to hit me up. People of North Carolina, if you weren't already blown by this.
Idiotic guy was on stage with Candace Owens a few days ago and asked her, what America are we going back to make America great again? The one where women couldn't vote or black people were swinging from trees? I would say to him if I was standing in front of him, I absolutely want to go back to the America where women couldn't vote.
And this?
Called to be led by men. God sent women out when he was supposed to do, when they had to do that thing. But when it was time to face down Goliath, sent David, not DeVita, David.
And this?
Everybody knows that abortion in this country is not about protecting the lives of mothers. It is about convenience. It is about abortion on demand. That is exactly what it's about. It's about killing a child because you aren't responsible enough to keep your skirt down.
And this?
Some liberal somewhere is going to say that sounds awful. Too bad. Get mad at me if you want to. Some folks need killing. It's time for somebody to say it. It's not a matter of vengeance. It's not a matter of being mean or spiteful. It's a matter of necessity.
Yes!
I'm wore out, I'm tired. But here it is. Whenever I think about being wore out, being tired, you know, somebody can get this on their phone and probably end up on Facebook with it. I ain't no little weak gymnast that quits when you go and get stuff. My generation is cut from a different cloth. Now, I don't quit when they go and get stuck. Been plenty of times when I've been in the car, tired, dog tired. Turn around and go back home. You see, I'm not doing this for myself. I'm not like somebody out there flipping around on TV on some monkey bars out there trying to get a gold medal for myself.
And this. Robinson have the 2021 North Carolina Republican Party convention when you told a bunch of white people that black people owed reparations for slavery. Oh, they clapped and they clapped. Now we got this.
Republican candidate for governor Mark Robinson is under scrutiny today. A Greensboro man claims that 20 years ago, he sold explicit videos to Robinson from an adult store in the Guilford County area.
This what y'all wanted me to see? Huh? Is this what y'all wanted me to see? This is how y'all wanted me to spend my afternoon? I don't even know if I can watch this. Church is coming up. You know what? Let me see what they're talking about.
Robinson's campaign denies these allegations. WRL state government reporter Paul Spey tells us now how these allegations even came to light in the first place.
A man named Louis Money says he worked at a couple of adult film stores in the 1990s and early 2000s, and that Mark Robinson was a regular customer. The online publication The Assembly first reported on this story earlier today. Robinson was elected lieutenant governor in 2020 and is now running for governor, and he's courted conservative voters by speaking at churches and calling on schools to get rid of books with what he calls pornographic material. Now, Money, the Greensboro man, says he worked at a couple of places that sold such material, Gents Video and News and I-40 Video and News.
Okay, Gents and I-40. All right, keep going.
It was way before the internet, and he would come in and preview movies. And, we developed a friendship. He would bring pizza.
Money told us he thinks it's funny that someone he says he used to sell videos to could actually be governor someday. So we made a song about it with members of his band who called themselves the Trailer Park Orchestra. And Money insists he's not trying to tear Robinson down.
For one, it was 20 years ago, Number two, it wasn't like he was doing anything illegal. He should be judged on everything else, but he should not be judged for this.
Okay, I'm gonna have to stop you right there, dog. He should be judged on everything else, but not for this. Why is this excluded from the things that he's judged on? I will tell you this. If this was a person that came at us like, yeah, this who I am, with the greasy hands, then this is something that you would come to expect. There's no reason to have any sort of reaction to this kind of thing. But when you come at us like the preacher's little brother, you know what I mean? When you come at us like the rejected altar boy, then you will be judged. Kind of reminds me of the reaction to the Tiger Woods story. Tiger never said he was good at marriage. He just said he was good at golf. He put the ball in the hole.
Now, Robinson wrote in his book about some of his behavior from before he became a Christian. As for visiting these adult stores, though, we asked Robinson's campaign about him.
Mark Robinson, he stood right there and he addressed the economy, education, and how to make North Carolina better. But what he did not address is what his campaign is calling a fabricated story. On Tuesday, the online news site The Assembly put out this story. A man named Louis Money says he worked at a couple of Guilford County adult film stores in the 1990s and early 2000s.
Oh, they got pictures together? That's your man's.
And that Mark Robinson was a regular customer. Money told WRAL he has no agenda to hurt Robinson's chances for governor.
Nobody's put me up to anything. I am very little into politics.
Several hours later, after the article was published, Robinson showed up at the Crossroads Grill in Siler City for a campaign stop. Robinson has appealed to voters by speaking at churches and calling on schools to get rid of books with what he calls pornographic material. Tonight, he greeted the crowd, took pictures, and laid out his plan on why he should be the next governor of North Carolina. Mr. Robinson, Julian Grace with WRAL. A couple questions for you. And after it was over, we asked Robinson about claims that he was a regular at adult stores 20 years ago. He refused to take our questions. However, Robinson's campaign forcefully rejected the claims made in the story, calling it, quote, Democrat activist fan fiction in a statement.
I'm gonna have to stop you right there, Mark Robinson. Fan fiction? Fan fiction. People write fan fiction for things they want to see. I don't know why you thought anybody wanted to see that. I don't even want to be thinking it.
When asked about visiting adult stores back in the 90s and 2000s, a spokesman for the campaign said it's a categorical no to all the ridiculous allegations made by the Assembly. Here's what we do know. Robinson wrote in his book about some of his behavior before he became a Christian. But his campaign says the claims in this article are not part of his journey.
Now, here's where you messed up, because you admitted that you were a backslider. If you a backslider, be a backslider. You know, if you a backslider, be a backslider. Why are you putting guardrails on your backsliding? You already said that you used to creep here, there, and everywhere. Now you want to exclude places? I myself used to be a backslider. And if you come to me and say, hey, you remember that time that you came out from behind the curtain at the video store with a slice of green pepper? I'd be like, no. But that was probably, yeah. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I just don't remember. Well, on the bright side, Mark Robinson, at least it didn't get picked up by the national media.
North Carolina's upcoming governor's race is much less competitive than you might expect, thanks to this man, Mark Robinson. He's already been elected statewide, by the way. We've covered him before on the show. He is the current Republican lieutenant governor of the state of North Carolina. He might just be the worst nominee his party has put forth for major office in recent memory, and that is really saying something.
In 2018, Robinson posted that this foolishness about Hitler disarming millions of Jews and then marching them off to concentration camps is a bunch of hogwash. He also said the movie Black Panther was, quote, created by an agnostic Jew to pull the shekels out of your Sforza pockets, using the Yiddish words for money and black.
Everybody knows that abortion in this country is not about protecting the lives of mothers. It's about killing a child because you aren't responsible enough to keep your skirt down or your pants up. There's no reason anybody anywhere in America should be telling any child about transgenderism, homosexuality, any of that filth. And yes, I called it filth.
So that guy, the guy who's talking about pulling the shekels out of your pocket, that guy, he is currently one of two men who will run the state of North Carolina. There's only two people on the ballot, right? Major parties. His whole backstory is that he found Jesus in the 1980s and slowly but surely reformed his sinful ways. He's now an agent of sort of avowedly Christian nationalist movement working to create a kind of right-wing theocracy in America. This week, we did get a little more insight into his past. According to a new report from the Assembly in North Carolina, which has not been confirmed by NBC News, 6 men, yes, 6 men, there are 6 sources to this piece, say Robinson was a regular customer at multiple adult video stores, often paying to view or purchase pornography as frequently as 5 nights a week. It's practically a job.
Now, I'll be honest. I should be the last person to judge Mark Robinson for something like this. I am the same guy who, at 13, had his parents threaten to take his door off the hinges. But 5 nights a week in public? That's not practically a job. That's full time. That is full time. They will have to issue you tax documents for that amount of time that you have clocked in.
Now, Robinson's campaign denies these allegations strenuously. A spokesman called the allegations a word we cannot repeat. He called the journalists reporting the story degenerates. But again, multiple named sources on the record, men who either worked at or frequented those stores, including the owner, tell a different story. One guy named Dan Livingston, who again went on the record with his actual name, told the Assembly he used to see Robinson frequent a shop called The Grove.
The Grove. Okay, we're going to add The Grove.
Quote here, Livingston said Robinson usually came in with a pizza, purchased a preview of an adult film, and went into a private booth to watch it and eat.
I'm sorry, did he said pizza, right? Pizza? You came in with like a whole pizza, So you just put it on to eat your pizza just like it's ambiance, like the way that people might put on the game or the way people might put on the news just for some kind of ambiance. That was your ambiance for eating, for dining? Are you allowed at restaurants? Like, what do you do when you're actually at a restaurant? You go with the headphones and your phone? Like,
it's a free country, okay? We should know it, of course. Consenting adults have the right to purchase some pizza and then go and produce or purchase that kind of material, pornography, at least for now. Although I should say, Donald Trump's friends at Project 2025 actually want to change that. Quoting again, pornography should be outlawed. The people who produce and distribute it should be imprisoned. Now, I don't think it's super likely that Mark Robinson, who, again, in this article with 6 sources, including a named source, said that he would go frequent this shop 5 nights a week, often with pizza, that he will win his election.
6 sources! 6 sources! He said 6! That booth couldn't have been that private. In no way that booth was that private. If 6 sources remember you from that long ago, were you sharing the pizza? Were y'all eating family style? How did you make it that hot? How were you that comfortable that you made it that hot that many people remember it from that long ago?
But this is an example, again, of the Republican instinct to nominate these kinds of guys, the most extreme antisocial candidates.
Now, let me try and evaluate this from Mark Robinson's perspective, which I know sounds crazy, but so I am supposed to believe, Mark Robinson, that you were a backslider back in the day and you have dedicated your life to the Lord and to public service and you moving forward in your life, okay? But 6 people, not 1, not 2, not 3, not even 4. 6 people remember seeing you at a place during the time that you said that you were backsliding from that long ago, and they all made it up. Like, is that what you're telling me? Is that what you're telling me? All of these people made something up from that long ago during a time where you admit that you was out here acting a fool. That's what I'm supposed to believe. This is almost as bad as the Stormy Daniels lies. And yes, Mark Robinson, I know you know Stormy Daniels. She came on when you had the slice of Supreme. This is almost as bad as the Stormy Daniels lies because the truth of the matter isn't actually even that bad. But the fact that you want to lie, now you just insulted me. Now you might be wondering, how did this information even come to light? Well, as much as I did not want to dig further into this story, let's look at the article, which reads, the morning of November 2022, the morning of the election, Money said he was working out at a Planet Fitness in High Point when he heard a loud voice bellow, "Lewis." I was like, who the hell knows me in High Point, he said. It was Robinson. They hadn't seen each other for at least a decade, he said. They talked for about 20 minutes. Okay, so they're on good terms. So it must have meant that he approved of his suggestions when he went to the back. I was like, dude, I'm so proud of you, man, Money recalled. I disagree with you, but I'm proud of what you accomplished for yourself. Yes, he has accomplished quite a bit since he emerged from the curtain. Money said he chided Robinson over the $25 he says he was owed for the bootleg porn tape. Y'all out here making bootlegs? I mean, look, I'm all for bootlegs, but those people, they earn their money. You know, they deserve that. I was like, I'm so glad that you didn't pay me, Money said. I tell everybody in the world that, you know, the lieutenant governor owes me money, so I don't even want your money anymore. Wow. He said Robinson laughed. I was like, man, I can't wait to do a song about it, Money said. He didn't chuckle with that one. He posted a photo of himself and Robinson on X and on his Facebook page, which is private. I disagree politically with this guy. However, we have always been cool, he wrote on Facebook. That's our lieutenant governor who still owes me money, LOL. Now, if there's any lesson to be learned, number one, don't take food. Don't take food into the preview. No, because you take food into, you make it hot for yourself. You make it hot for yourself, and that many people will remember you from that long. Number one, you don't take food in there. Number two, which by the way, just is gross anyway, is quite frankly disturbing. That might be actually the most disturbing part of this story, is that he felt comfortable eating in that environment. Secondly, pay your debts. Pay your debts. Pay your debts. You had forewarning. The man said, I can't wait to make a song about this. You should have gone ahead and paid the man. Then he wouldn't have had anything to post. Now, would he? Now, the good news for North Carolina, recent polls have had Robinson trailing his Democratic opponent, Josh Stein, by as many as 14 points, which is a landslide by North Carolina standards where statewide elections tend to be close. Now, for you, Mark Robinson, I know you might be feeling a ways about yourself right now. The fact that everybody knows you need hand sanitizer whenever you're at all anywhere in the vicinity. The good news for you, if this goes the way it looks like it's going, that just frees up more time for you. That frees up more time for the Grove. That frees up more I-40 time. Okay, that frees up more gents time. Okay, and I don't mean gents as in gentlemen, because wasn't nothing gentlemanly about what they remembered. Huh? Come on. No, that's not why I have Johnson back there. Get your mind out the gutter. No, it's Charlotte, because we're doing a North Carolina story. You know Larry Johnson, Grandmama. But don't you let Grandmama catch you coming out that back room. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and especially those of you that have liked and subscribed to the page. Did y'all know I had a website? I know, it's so kind of old-fashioned these days. Yes, I have a website, reesewaters.com. There you'll find my most recent work, but also my past work if you want to know a little bit more about me. You'll also find a portal where you could sign up for my newsletter. You could also sign up by sending me an email at reese@reesewaters.com. You could also send me any suggestions for ideas, something I need to take a look at, or you just want to say hello. And by the way, if you go to the website now, you'll find a little something special. That's right, we got merch. There's mugs there, there's t-shirts there, there's hats there, repping street politics, troubled waters, and of course, racists of the week. Where would we be without racists of the week? I don't know that I would have any content.
I was told if I got 63 million, which is what I got the first time, you would win. You can't not win. And I got millions of more votes than that, and lost by a whisker.
Now we finally know why liars lie. Because when they tell the truth, all hell breaks loose. Welcome to Street Politics. My name is Reese Waters. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the page. Okay, you guys saw the intro. Trump finally admits he lost the 2020 election.
And I became president. Then the second time I got millions more votes than I got the first time. So I was told if I got 63 million, which is what I got the first time, you would win. You can't not win. And I got millions of more votes than that, and lost by a whisker.
And just in case you were wondering what a whisker is, that's like a whisker, like if planets had whiskers, you know, kind of like a nice little, like a ring, like it's like Saturn's ring, like that kind of whiskers. Well, I can tell you this, Trump, MAGA is not going to take this well.
So why did we do Stop the Steal? Why did anyone go to January 6th? Why is anyone sitting in jail? Why did anything bad happen to anybody? Why did everyone get censored? Why is everything bad that has happened to the people that are involved, why did that need to happen if you're just going to walk it all back and say, oh, I lost? Well, it would have been good to know that before 1,600 people got charged. It would have been good to know that before I had all my money frozen, put on a no-fly list, banned from everything, lost all banking and payment processing. Would have been good to know that before I, in 2017, dedicated my life to this as an 18-year-old in college. Just feels like a big ripoff. And don't get me wrong, I'm an adult. It's not whining. I'm not complaining about it. I'm saying you can't say those things for that reason. Like, don't get me wrong. I don't regret anything, and we all make our choices. And look, it didn't work out. It is what it is. So I'm not mad saying I want those years back. I want those decisions back. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that just goes to show what a tremendous betrayal it is. It's just such a callous indifference to the sacrifices that his supporters made on his behalf.
That was Nick Fuentes, by the way, he of racist and anti-Semitic fame. Cue the music!
I never thought The leopards would eat my face now.
I never thought. Now we finally know why liars lie. Because once you go down the road with that first lie, everything else has to be consistent with said lie. And you lie, and you lie, and you lie. And the more that you lie, the more punitive it becomes when you finally tell the truth. Anybody that's backslid in a relationship can tell you that. Now, what's wild about this particular lie, we've been telling y'all this whole time. Instead of listening to, I don't know, the dozens of cases, hundreds at this point, all across the country, instead of listening to the 40-odd senior executives in the Trump administration that won't endorse him this time around because they were so offended, instead of listening to, I don't know, the entire Republicans for Harris movement, you listen to a man who cheated on all three of his wives. Yeah, that's who you decided to listen to. Now, normally when you cheat on your wife, they never trust you again. Like, normally life is very difficult after you cheat on your wife. Where you going? I'm just going here to the mailbox. Leave the door open. But apparently in MAGA land, lying and cheating makes you more trustworthy. I can't imagine the logic. Well, see, I think the Democrats are doing dirt over there. I think they doing dirt. I don't know. I think they doing dirt. I know he doing dirt. Okay, so I know that he is filthy, and I trust the devil you know versus Mike could be a devil over there. I know he a devil. You know, I know he a devil because they say, fool me once.
If fool me, we can't get fooled again.
Maybe that's what they mean when they say that conservative women are more beautiful. It wasn't a physical thing. It wasn't physical beauty. It was that they will trust literally anything that you say. And I don't mean me. They wouldn't trust anything I say. I mean like a conservative man who is white. They will trust anything a conservative white man says. Which is what makes this so crazy. It's not even the first time that he's said this.
10 or 12 million votes more than that, more than anybody had ever got. We got the most votes of anybody, of any sitting president in history. And he beat us by a whisker.
And here he is back in 2023.
There's no way you could lose the election. And we got close to 75 million votes. And that's only what they agreed to. That's only what they say. It's much higher than that, but they agreed to it. So we got, based on that, we got 12 million more votes, right? And we lost by a whisker here and a whisker there.
This ain't even his first confession.
Mr. President, before we wrap up this, you know, there is this report, House Democrats, documents that say that nearly $8 million in payments to your businesses from foreign governments, China included, Saudi Arabia, while you were in office. They say Article 1 of the Constitution says you can't accept money from foreign governments while president. Would you pledge to divest from your business in the second term as other presidents have done?
So
that's what they're reporting.
I own hotels all over the. I don't get free money. Somebody rents a hotel room, et cetera, et cetera. Much money I gave back. In fact, I didn't have to do it. You know, George Washington was a very rich man. People don't know that. In his essentially White House, which wasn't built, but they had an office, he had a business desk and he had a country desk right next to each other. You're allowed to do that. I didn't do it. I put everything in trust. And if I have a hotel and somebody comes in from China, that's a small amount of money. You know, it sounds like a lot of money. That's a small. But I was doing services for that. People were staying in these massive hotels, these beautiful hotels, because I have the best hotels. I have the best clubs. I have the best clubs. I have great stuff. And they stay there and they pay. I don't get $8 million for doing nothing.
So you think I just took the $8 million just for nothing? I didn't take $8 million for doing nothing. I had to get up and go get the $8 million. You know, like they didn't just put the $8 million in my lap. I had to physically take my hands and go get the $8 million. You know what I mean? I earned that.
Everybody wanted that issue brought back to the states, the legal scholars, Democrats, Republicans, everybody. And we did that. And, you know, it's really become a almost, I think, look, I'm not going to say it's an issue that leans toward us, but people are happy.
No, it was not his first confession. And it wasn't his last.
Whoever heard you get indicted for interfering with a presidential election where you have every right to do it? You get indicted and your poll numbers go up. When people get indicted, your poll numbers go down.
I'm sorry. Come again?
Whoever heard you get indicted for interfering with a presidential election?
Did he just admit to interfere? Did he just left it all out there? Bro, you worse than First 48.
It's so crazy that my poll numbers go up. Whoever heard you get indicted for interfering with a presidential election where you have every right to do it? You get indicted and your poll numbers go up.
We need to get this guy in here today.
Hey, Nick Fuentes, you want to weigh in here?
It's just because it's bullshit. They sold out. They sold out. Everything that MAGA represented at one point and everything that it was is no longer. It's just really sad. And the 2020 comment, it's like, wow, that's how pathetic it's gotten. He's admitting, he says, oh, I lost by a whisker. So what was the point? Like, what's the point of any of it? You lost in 2020? Seriously? I mean, what are we even doing anymore? Then you're a loser. Then you're a loser. You just lost. Then you lost to Joe Biden. You deserve to be charged. If he admits that he lost, then that actually vindicates the DOJ charge against him. Because the charge is that he knew he lost, but he lied to defraud the people. That's the DOJ's charge.
DOJ's charge. This ain't good. Nah, this ain't gonna be good. MAGA is as helpless as Alina Habba, in or out of court.
I completely am disgusted.
While Trump incriminates himself.
You attack her. I said, who is she? And they said, she writes for People magazine. I said, I don't know anything about the lady. If I had a story long ago, years before, about People, but it was a very nice story. So I don't know. It has to be made up because I don't know what you're talking about. It turned out that the same lady that wrote this beautiful story years later said I attacked her. Now, think of this. Oh, and she said the butler knew everything. The old expression, the butler did it.
Huh? Trump gets away with everything? Well, this judge is a little bit different.
The first hearing since the Supreme Court narrowed aspects of Jack Smith's prosecution of Donald Trump occurred today, with Trump pleading not guilty to what was that revised indictment. And the judge there says she is not going to be affected by an election timeline. The court is not concerned with that, quote, electoral schedule. It's not going to be considered. And she ordered both sides to file new briefs since the Supreme Court immunity ruling, at which point she will, quote, determine whether further proceedings are necessary. The judge also rebuked Trump's attorney for further delay tactics, saying what you're trying to affect, the presentation of the evidence in this case, so as not to impinge on an election. The DOJ has also said that some new evidence could come to light because, quote, the briefs might contain things that are both in and outside the indictment. These are the new briefs, including transcripts from the grand juries or the interviews.
What I find so fascinating about this, MAGA will probably largely ignore this because they have poor comprehension skills.
Barack Obama had a big part of 9/11.
Which part?
Not being around, always on vacation, never in the office.
Why do you think Barack Obama wasn't in the Oval Office on 9/11?
That I don't know. We'd like to get to the bottom of that.
We don't even know if he's a citizen.
Yeah, if you don't look at the birth certificate, there's almost no evidence there.
Exactly.
Did you read the transcript?
I don't have to. Everyone else has. I can read it if I need to, but
right, yeah. But it's important that everybody reads the transcript.
It is very important. Pay attention and think for yourself.
Yes, you have. But to be clear, you have not read the transcript.
I haven't. No.
Right.
No.
But it is just important.
Yeah. Don't be a sheep. Think for yourself.
But again, just to be very clear, you have not read it.
I have not read it.
You just trusted somebody else
Correct.
who read it.
Yeah.
What were you saying about don't be a sheep?
Don't be a sheep. Think for yourself. Do your own research.
Do your own research. Right. So there's nothing Barack Obama could do to prove that he was born here?
If there was maybe witnesses that were attendants at his birth.
Like his mother? Would you listen to his mother?
No. She has motivation to lie.
So you don't trust Donald Trump's birth certificate either?
Yeah, because he's been here forever.
Well, how do you know? But what's your proof?
Well, his parents and.
But no, but they're biased. I'm talking about like people who could be in the
Why
room.
would they be biased?
Well, like, I'm just using your logic against you.
Nick Fuentes, one of the most hateful of the bunch, is the one to call him out. Kind of like Ann Coulter, one of the only other few to call out Trump.
Yeah, well, he's always known how to be a celebrity, right? Like that reminded me of the reality TV show aspect of Trump, right? He knew.
I think you're giving him more. I don't even think it's knowing how to be. I think he's a narcissistic. I didn't read. The one thing I didn't know when I wrote In Trump We Trust is how profoundly stupid he is.
Cue the music. I never thought the leopards would eat my face.
I made very clear in the book the only thing he could do, we will forgive him for anything. And I defended him the day after the Access Hollywood, pussy grabbing tape came out. I was giving a speech before like 5,000 people in California up in farmland. And I was pedal to the metal defending him. And I said, we'll forgive him for anything, but unless you betray us on immigration. Yeah. Oh, and guess what he did?
Oh, I never thought the leopards would eat my face. But they are!
Who just happens to be a 13 out of 10 on the hateful Richter scale. I need to try and understand this. Is it kind of like your hate gets so high that it curls around back? It's not a line, it's like a circle. It's like a circle. It's almost like the circle of life. The circle of life, your hate comes back over to love. It's the circle of hate. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and especially those of you that have liked and subscribed to the page. Did y'all know I had a website? I know, it's so kind of old-fashioned these days. Yes, I have a website, reesewaters.com. There you'll find my most recent work, but also my past work if you want to know a little bit more about me. You'll also find a portal where you could sign up for my newsletter. You could also sign up by sending me an email at reese@reesewaters.com. You could also send me any suggestions for ideas, something I need to take a look at, or you just want to say hello. And by the way, if you go to the website now, you'll find a little something special. That's right, we got merch. There's mugs there, there's t-shirts there, there's hats there, repping street politics, troubled waters, and of course, Racist of the Week. Where would we be without Racist of the Week? I don't know that I would have any content.
Without your bravery, we're all out of luck.
Welcome to Street Politics. My name is Reese Waters. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the page. Y'all saw it.
Without your bravery, we're all out of luck. No, this can't be denied. You gotta be special.
Ooh. Where y'all want to start with this one? You know what? Let's start here.
Without your bravery, we're all out of luck.
Now, a lot of you guys are making fun of Laura Trump, but she was out here dropping bars, okay? She was preaching. She said, without your bravery, we're all out of luck. And true words have never been spoken, because without Laura Trump's bravery, we would all be out of luck. We would not have this content. If not for her insistence that she could sing, despite all of the evidence and all of the feedback that she has received throughout the entirety of her life, without her bravery, we would all be out of luck. What would I be laughing at today? Probably poop memes.
No, this can't be denied. You gotta be special.
Now that's where you're wrong. That's where you're wrong, Laura Trump, when you said you gotta be special, because clearly you do not have to be special at all. Maybe you have to be special in the eyes of the person that is funding this vanity project. Obviously, you had to be special to Eric Trump, and I'm not even going to get all the way into that. But once that has been established, clearly you do not have to be special. That's the same reason that Bronny James got drafted. It's the same reason that Harriet Hagman is currently serving in the U.S. Congress. You got the right connections. You absolutely do not have to be special. In fact, I'll prove to you that you don't have to be special.
Without your bravery, we're all out of luck. No, this can't be denied. You gotta be special.
That's the sound that made Gus Walls cry. In fact, if you set Gus Walls' cry to auto-tune, it would sound better than whatever Laura Trump just did. And then, I can't believe they had the nerve to try and come for Gus Walls, draw attention to a man that's proud of his dad. You tell me who's proud of this. Really, what would MAGA and the right wing have done if Ella Emhoff made this?
Without your bravery, we're all out of luck. No, this can't be denied. You gotta be special.
Only she's not just connected to the Republican nominee, she's also currently the head of the RNC. So you mean to tell me that Ronna McDaniel changed her name for Trump, got unceremoniously fired, hired at NBC News, almost caused a revolt for this?
Without your bravery, we're all out of luck. No, this can't be denied. You gotta be special.
Your presidential campaign is on fire. You are actively pulling out of states.
Donald Trump's campaign is now pulling out of the swing state of New Hampshire after it seems increasingly likely that he's going to lose the state badly. We just got this report from the Boston Globe tonight. A top Trump volunteer in Massachusetts is no longer with the campaign after warning New Hampshire is, quote, no longer a battleground state. Tom Mountain, who served as one of several vice chairs for Donald Trump's effort in Massachusetts, wrote in an email to Trump volunteers in the state that, quote, the campaign has determined that New Hampshire is no longer a battleground state and advised supporters to instead direct their attention to Pennsylvania. In the email, which has been confirmed to be authentic by the Boston Globe, Mountain said that Trump was, quote, sure to lose by an even higher margin in New Hampshire than in 2016 and 2020, citing campaign data and research. He claimed resources would be suspended and the campaign would not send Trump or high-profile surrogates such as his sons to the state. Now, the Trump campaign is dismissing Mountain, saying, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about, but we can all see the data. This is how you know Donald Trump's campaign is collapsing right before our eyes. Like, he is pulling out of swing states and directing resources to other places because he's polling so badly in some of these places. It would not surprise me if Donald Trump's campaign starts to remove resources from other states around the country to direct them elsewhere, but this is not good news for Donald Trump.
Your ticket is getting booed on stage.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Well, Simplify, guys. We got some, it sounds like we got some fans and some haters. That's okay.
And this is how you're spending the money?
Without your bravery, we're all out of luck. No, this can't be denied. You gotta be special.
Now, I know what you're thinking. Reese, you gotta stop playing it. Enough is enough. But I just can't get past, I knew the MAGA talent roster was down bad, but not this down bad. I don't know who should be more angry, her or Kid Rock. they made her sit there and subject her to a Kid Rock performance when she just as easily could have stunk up the joint, or they are openly letting Kid Rock's career flounder when they could be funneling it with the Laura Trump money. Speaking of mad, just wait until MAGA gets a load of this.
This is a Trump rally. If you don't like it, don't come here to protest. Don't come if you're uneducated and you don't know what you're talking about.
You would rather they just didn't come here?
I would rather them not come here.
Are you a fan of the First Amendment?
Absolutely. You know, the right to bear arms. Look, this is...
That's not the First Amendment.
No, the Fourth Amendment, but I'm saying...
That's not the Fourth Amendment either.
Which one is it?
Which one do you want to know? The right to free speech, the First Amendment?
First Amendment, freedom of speech.
And you love the right to bear arms. Which amendment do you think that is?
I thought it was the Fourth. I could be...
It's the Second Amendment.
Okay, well...
How big of a fan of it are you?
Of...
The Second Amendment.
I carry. That's what I know.
And you didn't know which amendment it was?
No.
You know what? Never mind. Actually, now I see why you felt like you could waste the money. They don't know the difference. This is actually probably the best way that money could have been spent. Really, we should have seen this coming because we knew that Laura Trump was into all sorts of entertainment.
Yeah, in the Bible. Is it legal in the Bible to do that? Like with your husband, of course.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, once you are married, everything is legal and everything that everyone enjoys, whatever it may be.
Now this makes sense. Now this makes a lot of sense because she is somebody who does not understand boundaries.
We now have the ability at the RNC not just to have poll watchers, people standing in polling locations, but people who can physically handle the ballots.
I get it. If she doesn't think that election laws apply to her, why would she think that noise pollution would apply to her? And really, they probably just think that's a part of the Green New Deal as far as I'm concerned. Huh? What's that?
Oh, this is a nice one. Is Laura Trump as stupid as she appears to be?
Well, apparently so, because it says here she is accusing Apple Music of shadow banning it. She is accusing Apple Music of intentionally suppressing what it was that we just heard. A crime. She's actually upset that Apple is helping her hide an audio crime. Meanwhile, shadow banning is really the only thing that could possibly preserve any sort of career in the music industry. You better hope to the heavens that is shadow banned. Now, the good news is though, Laura, although your song tanked in the first 50 states, it is absolutely killing in the other 31.
We have lawsuits in 81 states right now.
Now, I'm not going to go in too far. I'll let the internet do that for me.
Without your bravery, we're all out of luck. No, this can't be the...
I listened to the single again this morning, and you know how on Instagram you can like swipe for that filter that makes all your features look soft and makes you look younger and prettier? Is there a thing like that for your voice that can make my voice sound better? You already used it? I already did my RNC business for today. Yeah, no, I sent them that new account number and routing number so the money just flows directly to the family. A lot of my friends have been texting me this morning and they're like, Laura, don't do it. Don't do it, Laura. We love your song, but just keep it between us. You know how people are always criticizing our family and saying that we have both a literal and figurative inflated sense of self-worth? This isn't an example of that, is it? I'm actually good, right? I love how we say there's more songs coming, and usually people call that a teaser, but it kind of feels like a threat. Watch out! So you don't think the direct juxtaposition of Beyonce's new album and my single is going to draw attention to the fact that I have zero talent and absolutely no business pretending like I'm a recording artist? No? Well, you don't think that like the DNC is going to make fun of us or going to use this as a way to point out how lost we are? No. They raised $26 million this week. I can't compete with that. I might as well just have fun, right? Does it ever make you a little bit sad that like all the cool people are on the other side? I mean, they've got what, Beyonce and Taylor and Stephen Colbert and Obama and like literally everyone cool and creative and smart. And then we're like, but we've got Scott Baio. I mean, it just kind of sucks. Like, I wish we could hang out with cool people. Yeah. Do you think it'll go viral? Like, for good reasons and not because everyone is mocking me? Did you stay up last night and listen to Beyonce? Oh my God, so good. So are we sure we want to release this today?
Now get this, Lara Trump has been releasing music for nearly a year now, starting with her infamous rendition of Tom Petty's I Won't Back Down. Something that Petty objected to, and he's been dead for 7 years. But no, she didn't back down. It wasn't her last dance. She is still running down a dream. Since then, she's released 2 original songs, Hero and Anything is Possible. And really, if anything shows us that anything is possible, it's this.
Without your bravery, we're all out of luck. No, this can't be denied. You gotta be special.
Ooh, don't do me like that. Don't do me like that. This needs to be the end of the line. Throw that into the great wide open. That guitar is gently weeping. Now, I know the mainstream media will probably ignore this. We've seen the way they roll with the New York Times saying Trump could win on character. And then you had this little ditty from Politico.
He suggested that you happened to turn black recently for political purposes, questioning a core part of your identity.
Yeah.
Any
Same old tired playbook. Next question, please.
That's it?
That's it.
Where apparently Kamala Harris is being evasive for not dignifying Donald Trump's racist attacks into her past. Yeah, we see what time it is when it comes to the mainstream media. Now, I just want to ask you, the people, how not only the right wing and MAGA, but also the mainstream media would react if one of Kamala Harris's relatives was put in charge of the DNC, claimed that she wasn't going to support down ballot candidates if they didn't bend the knee to Kamala, that they could physically handle ballots, that there are 81 states, and found the time, 2 months within the election, to put out a single. I just want you to take some time and think about how they would react if Kamala's family did this. Then I want you to take the time to recover. I want you to take whatever time you need to recover.
From the next Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance.
From the number of times that you've been subjected to this.
Without your bravery, we're all out of luck. No, this can't be denied. You gotta be special.
Because let's just be honest. I know it's early in the day, but we can be honest with one another. Y'all know what drove you to drink? Now we finally know why that baby was crying. She heard the rough cut. Sincere thanks to everybody who's reached out to me and submitted suggestions for videos. Keep them coming. I take submissions for ideas for a video, suggestions for Racist of the Week. If you have something that just troubles you, or you just want to send me a note, because I love getting those notes, go ahead and shoot me an email at reese@reesewaters.com. I also have a newsletter that I send out periodically, so you'll be receiving that as well. You can also sign up on my website, reesewaters.com.